Happy Monday, everyone. This is Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy with the Nautilus Drydocks, here with
Logan.
And the beginning of a new week. It is Monday, January 22nd. Let's see what we've got brewing. All right, so we have lots of stuff going on this week. We're going to start with an update from Logan on the Flying Sub.
All right, so we've got a lot of good progress across the last week on the Flying Sub. We've got top completely figured out. We've got the engines all figured out. We've got the linkages all figured out. Mostly we just need to trim. However, it's rainy and it's stormy. It's not a very good time to dump this in the water. But once the weather clears up, put it in. We'll see how the trimming is. I believe last time we tried it out, everything looked nice, which means we can basically just go for a full function test. Once that flies, then it'll be maiden voyage time.
Yeah, and I grabbed the files, by the way, to print out a door for the back, the little hatch, and the hatch on the top, which was missing from this as well. So we just got to take some measurements, and I'll throw that on the printer. And then that from a cosmetic perspective. We can work on the cosmetics.
And for the Nautilus, the inside supports are all done, so it's all nice and structurally sound. So the next big step I'm probably going to go for is getting the lighting done, because that's a little more of a delicate procedure. Drilling out all the holes on the side here to 5mm, drilling out these to 5mm, grabbing the lights, getting those ready to install. After that, we're going to be doing a little bit of work remaking the files. You can see over here, this is all in 35th scale. We need to reduce that back to 48 and then install this. And due to some file changes, it's not possible to install things the way they used to be. Previously, they had a kind of interesting slide system where you could slide parts onto this little latch.
Little rail inside, yeah.
And honestly, I think it was a pretty slick system, but where these little squares are on each side, there used to be a brake here. Because there's no brake, there's no way to get access to the slides, so where did I put it? There it is. So there's no way to install the stairs here without...
Well, there would. We just have to break off the little catch, but whatever.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and remove one side, see if it slides on. If not, it won't take too much effort. Just break off the catch, get it on, get it glued.
And once we do that, we'll be able to have the actual sliding hatches, retracting hatches for the stairwell.
Yep. I believe the parts for that I put...
They're around. Oh, here, there. I can see one of them over there. But we'll get that all figured out. First thing is to get that, busted out. It's huge. But yeah, really good stuff. And again, just as a reminder, if you missed the last update, but of course you didn't because you're subscribed, right, guy? Really important. Like and subscribe. It helps us out a lot. This is going to be a kit, a full kit that you'll be able to purchase. And despite my implorations of people are like, where can I get it? How much is going to be? I specifically said, don't do that. We're not ready yet. We'll know a lot more after we install this, but realistically, probably within 30 days, I'm thinking we'll know enough that we'll be able to generate options and all of that stuff. And I'm working on a salon file for this as well, which should be pretty awesome.
And if not, this thing goes together incredibly easily. I'd say the most skill you have to have is learning the best way to reinforce two parts going together. In our case, we used fiberglass resin, but you have your own method. This all goes together super cleanly and easily.
Yeah.
And once we're past the kind of initial R&D phase, all the parts click together super easy.
Yep. All right, last but not least, time for Seaview update. So you can see, got it powered on, and despite the fact that it's raining, I want to dunk this in the water. Right, Logan? We're going to go out in the rain. We're going to get this thing wet because I can't go any further. But just to update you what we've done this morning, put everything back in, and these, I got two of them, are 1/2-inch brass stock bar. Each one weighs about 2.6 pounds. I've got one strapped to the keel right now with Velcro, as you can see. The idea being we're going to dunk it in the water, see how stable it is, see where the water line is. If 1 bar is enough, then I'm going to go about removing the GRP keel and replacing it with brass and fairing it all in to make it look awesome. If we need to do 2, we'll do 2 side by side. One way or the other, this thing is going to be stable. We're going to make sure it ends up happening. So we're going to head outside, dunk it in the water, see what it does, and report back. So Logan is super excited about the retracting sliding hatch. So those are the 2 that kind of nest under the map table.
And they're so smooth. If I only pinch the outside one, I can kind of just rotate it, and it'll open and close on its own.
Yeah, so the idea is you could just push on the leading edge. The first panel retracts into the second panel retracts into the wheelhouse, just leaving a little kind of nibber sticking out.
Yep, just this has the rails all built into it. They look like they're super clean. Looks like it all should go together pretty well. Just take me
A few minutes, yeah.
hopefully, of cleaning it out.
We should do that right now. We'll wait for it to get a little lighter out before we take the Seaview out, maybe. So Tuesday morning, and good news. While it is pouring rain here right now, the weather is supposed to let up a little bit later this morning, which means we are going to get Flying Sub and Seaview in the pool here in a few hours. So that's really good because the whole trimming thing with the Seaview is basically what is holding up that build. So yesterday was really spent on Nautilus. What did we work on specifically for Nautilus yesterday?
We got the floodlights in the helm set up. We've domes installed. We've got
look at the skiff here. So this is actually set up so these retracting covers work. These are fully functional retracting covers on the skiff. So you're not just swapping out things. This actually works. I'm like astounded. And we've got it taken apart right now, but the breathers work, right? They're functional.
Mm-hmm.
And
actually, the breathers were fully functional to the point of being over functional. They could open up to like 80
too far,
degrees.
yeah. So we modified the file, so that'll stop there at the perfect 30-degree incline. And well, we started putting all the greeblies on, all the cleats and the bollards and the grates and fins and hatches and all of that stuff. So this is coming along really quick. What we were waiting on were some prints, and that's what Logan's working on here right now. Where are those parts? Oh, here we go. So the irises, the wheelhouse floor, ship's wheel, dive levers, all of that stuff. Spiral stairs. Oh, there's more pieces there.
Yep. Those are just parts that I'm kind of taking my time on. Don't want to break any of these because then it's another couple-hour print just to fix them all. So
right. So yeah, a bunch of new files are getting generated to clean this up, and just these ones work perfectly fine. But we want to make it really, really easy for people to build this thing out. And then Logan's scoping the domes, getting them all set perfectly optically clear. Look at that. It's beautiful. And gorgeous little descending stairway. Oh, you can't even see that. There we go. That'll be going down inside the boat. Lights are in the wheelhouse too, so this is really exciting. I think we're getting a lot done today. We're going to get Flying Sub prepped and ready to go, CV ready to go, and also I spent yesterday afternoon working on the mock-up of the Torpedo launcher. Now, I've modified these files so they're not going to be so kind of weird. They'll be a lot cleaner, but in general, this is how it works. So servo pulls. This can extend, but it won't pull. So for example, if this goes clockwise, the starboard tube will launch. And if it goes counterclockwise, the port side torpedo will launch. So one servo, two tubes, Certainly nothing close to the level of engineering that David Merriman had, where he had a single servo firing 6 torpedoes, but I am not a watchmaker and don't feel like doing that. So you could rig this up in theory with a waterproof servo like what I've got here, or in your watertight cylinder. You just run a little to an arm, and you can shoot your torpedoes individually. The torpedo launchers have these mounting plates, so you can mount them on the bottom, on the top, on the sides, however you want to mount them. So a lot of versatility, and they're slotted, so you can angle them. Obviously, you know, like a Type 7, they're in a V shape when they shoot out. So yeah, excited about that. We're gonna shoot off some more torpedoes today. I'm printing off the new files so that I can have a full host of torpedoes. I got the bodies cut already. I want a fleet of 4 so that we can see just basically how reliable they are. All right, the weather has temporarily decided to agree with us, and it has stopped raining. So we are going to pause what we were working on here, but I'll show you what that was, and we are going to dunk a Seaview and button up flying sub and get that in the water, and if we can do that, I'll be happy. The torpedoes I'm going to wait on, because the only torpedoes I have to play with right now, I've got one good extended one, the World War II version, which I incorrectly identified as a Mark 17. It was the G17 was the German version, or the Mark 14 was the American version. That's going to need to wait until I get the new torpedo parts done, which also includes the new launcher parts, which I'm also excited about. So those are going to be like another 2 hours or something on the printer. So probably by the time we clean them up, cure them, put them together, it'll be tomorrow. But in the meantime, a couple things to show you before we head outside. This is the beginning mock-up of the 1/60th flying sub. Now, you guys remember this thing that I got off eBay, which is fine, it's fun, but I don't need toys. So I took it all apart, saw how it worked. That was fun. But I salvaged these little brushed, sealed motor pods. I think these are going to work really well. They propelled that other thing along really quickly. So these are sealed. What I like about them, I've got electronic speed controller that actually has dual motor capability. So single ESC will handle both motors for differential thrust. Now, a couple things to note. I've got a chunk of styrofoam in here. This is the mock-up for the 1 amp 2S battery that'll power this thing. And then I've got these motor pods, obviously, are already in there. And then I've got these brass thruster tube thingies. And you'll notice, obviously, that they are canted outwards. Now, the reason for this is that the 2 thrusters in the back of the flying sub are actually very close together. So when they are aligned in parallel, there is a very small turning moment when you kick one or the other on. Some other people got away from that with using forward-facing thrusters. That'll help spin it. This, obviously, when we cant the output, it extends that moment arm from, if this is the center of the boat, from being maybe 15, 18 millimeters to probably 40. So at least double the turning moment on this boat, I think. So this hopefully will work really well. You know, left, right, both forward to go straight. And then I need to rig up a vertical thruster of some kind. I got to figure that out. Then I'll have the ESC and the receiver in here that I'm just going to waterproof. And it's going to sit in the wet. So this is going to be a completely wet hull, no waterproof enclosure. So yeah, we're going to see how that all works out. We're going to go talk to Logan, see what he's up to.
I am finishing up with Nemo here. Once I take these glasses off so I can see. Just finished getting his base navy jacket on and a little bit of flesh, and then I got his hair and his shoes. When we come back to him, I'm going to give him his white little kerchief and give him his gold buttons, and that should be...
Yeah, little panel lining to pop his details out. That'll look really cool. Mm-hmm. So what we decided, as opposed to the last one that we did I think we're just going to use this and we're going to position his hands on the ship's wheel. So it looks like he's kind of nonchalantly driving the boat as opposed to chopping him up and breaking his arms and gluing him together. And
yeah, that was like probably a full day's worth of work, like dissecting and then reassembling a body. Because for every like minute detail you damage, you have to fill it and then sand it. And if you make any mistakes, you have to fill it and then resand it, which is great. But we need to make and continue making. We don't have 4 days to make sure one figure looks good. So.
Yeah. And you found some really perfectly fitting. You can see those are just friction fit. Hey, the Salon floodlight lenses.
Yep. And I found ones that go on these sides as well, but they're not quite as perfect. I think this is just one of the other ones I had around.
Yeah, so they're like a 0.5 millimeter smaller. They still look beautiful. So yeah, we're going to have to zero in on those floodlight lenses. All right, we are going to put her back in the water. You can see she's dry. It, of course, just started to rain, but at this point, I don't care. We're trying to see if it's going to be stable. Now, it's going to list to starboard because the keel weight is on the one side of the GRP keel. I'm looking for stability. Let's see what happens. It is Wednesday morning, and it is another rainy day here in the Woodlands, Texas, which means no pool testing today for Flying Sub, which kind of sucks. But that means hopefully maybe by tomorrow, if the weather lets up, even for a little bit, we'll be able to redunk Seaview, because as you can see, the keel is all done. Ready to put back in. It's just rough right now. I didn't need to do glazing putty and sand it and make it all look pretty, but this is basically how it is going to look. The profile looks really cool. Should work well. In the meantime, we've been working on Nautilus. Let's check in with Logan. All right, so with all the rain, what have you been working on?
I have finished painting pretty well all the small detail parts for the helm. Just finished gluing the last of these parts in. You can see a couple of the LEDs installed. We've got kind of hidden green LED that I'm hoping gives a really cool backlight. I've got a forward accent warm light LED. For the top half, I've got top-down warm white LEDs as well as a top-down green LED, just in case this one kind of stashed away doesn't do it quite enough. But all of this is in. I'm just going to basically put it together and do a lighting test in a few minutes. And once that's done, we can basically look at getting Nemo inside, getting the map table done, and the entire top should be...
Yeah, because Nemo's all done there, isn't he? We should check him on the helm and see how cool he looks. If his hands are going to match up. Maybe we'll do that in a minute. Show everyone what that looks like. And while Logan was working on all of that, I did a few more things here. I touched up some missing bolts that are going to be corrected in the actual files, but I printed some little tiny bolts that go on there. Cleaned up some seams. What else did I do? I added the hold down wheels for the skiff. And the lower hatch is fully functional now, so it swings open and closed and is held shut magnetically, because that's how we roll here. We're getting real close. Once Logan gets the wheelhouse done, get it buttoned up, and we can put everything together, prime the whole boat, and then we're getting on the fun stuff, paint and weather.
The only thing we have to do before that is get the 5mm cool white LEDs in the side.
Exterior floodlights. Yep.
Well, that'll take 2 minutes. It's going to be a matter of... actually, I've already got them pre-ground, so it's just going to be funking them in.
Glue. Yep. All right. Well, we are going to pack it in for the day. Seaview is fully prepped, ready to go. It's interesting, as I was doing that, noticed a couple of things. Number one, the servo in the fairwater, in the sail, was actually loose. I had to tighten that. I don't know how that ended up happening. And number two, the hose for the air pump was kinked. So it was getting no air through there. So that's why you do pre-mission checks, even if you're just testing it in the pool. So that should be all set to go. our torpedoes. So we got 4 torpedoes that are all identical. These are going to be tested tomorrow. So in the morning, we're going to do a dry launch on the bench. And then if everything works well, we'll go to the pool and we'll do shot of 4, 2 volleys of 2, and we'll see how well those do. In theory, flying sub is ready to go. So weather's supposed to be better tomorrow. Keep your fingers crossed. It is Thursday, and it looks like the weather is going to be much nicer today. It's supposed to be sunny, so we got lots of pool testing coming up. Flying sub, Seaview, and torpedoes. So hopefully we're going to be busy today. First thing we're going to do today is bench test the torpedo assembly with the functional torpedoes and see how they work. So let's get up for a bench set up for a bench test. And we'll see how they work. So this is a really, really simple setup. I'm just going to grab 2 of these, and you'll notice this was the first thing. It was using the Mark 48 flat nose. I redid those so they're nice and spherical on the outside there now. So you just grab them, drop them in the tube, push your breech forward, and then just push it back until it locks in place, just like that. We'll take another one, throw it back, push it forward, lock it in. Done! So the torpedoes are loaded. Now we just need to charge everything up. I find about 5 seconds is pretty good. All right, you can see everything. So let's fire 1 and fire 2. I got jammed. So it looks like I might need to put a stop back here because the force of the gas coming out actually blew the breech back along here. So I just got to put a stopper on here so I can't come out. But successful test. Now we just need to put it in the water and see how it works.
All right, so we just got our experimental first draft of the salon installed, and honestly, I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, that fitment's pretty sharp. You can see our wires are all trapped out there, and we just want to make sure it was going to fit. And it's easy to install after this. And the neat thing is, especially for a static display model, once you get this in shape, it'll actually hold the spacing of the salon blisters. So I just pull it out so people can see the inside there. So this was the salon that Mark drafted. It's not the absolute perfect scale representation of the actual salon. So he took a few little liberties, but it's beautiful. And what I did is I went ahead and modified the settee pits to make them accurate. I'm going to include the perfectly accurate organ, the perfectly accurate settee couches. I modified the ballast tubes. So this is going to be about as good as it's going to get. It's going to be super awesome. I think what we're going to do is we'll offer the kit as the kit and then the salon separately for anybody that wants to tackle the salon. But pretty stoked, pretty excited. This obviously is on the filament printer at the worst resolution, the fastest speed I could get out of it. So the actual ones will look a lot better. This kit's getting more and more exciting.
It's coming together a lot faster and a lot easier than expected.
We got another build scheduled for it. So that'll be the one that you're going to do the full instructions on. Mm-hmm. The full video build tutorial on.
Yep.
All right, well, it's nice and sunny. We've got no excuses. I think the pool guy's gone, so let's go out to the pool. Get some stuff wet. All right, it's a little departure. Had a couple of things sent back to me by a customer out of Mexico. Says they didn't work, so we're going to do a little bench test. First thing is a little brushless electronic speed controller. It's a BL Heli unit, 35 amp with no built-in battery eliminator circuit. And the other one is a little remote on-off switch. I think he was running a 2S battery pack, and this requires 3S, and similarly, this. Even though it says it's rated for 2 cells, I find that it does not. It says right on the front. Right, where's the camera? Focus. It says 2 to 6 cells. Not the case. If you guys are using these on 2 cells, the motor's going to go like. Give it 3, and it'll work perfectly. So I'm going to wire this up. We're going to check it out, see if it works. Okay, the switch is hooked up. Let's take a look. So here is the setup. Everything is wired per the instructions on my website. I'm going to go ahead and hook up power to 12 volts. We have a green light indicating that the unit is getting power, and this is our little visual indicator of the relay working. But of course, we'll be able to hear the click as well. So let's see what happens. Nothing. Nothing happens. Faulty relay. Well, now I feel sheepish. Defunct unit. What got me a little bit is he's like, why did you not test all of these components before you ship them out? When you get a pre-boxed unit that comes straight from the factory and you haven't done anything to it, I don't think I should have to test every single unit. That adds a lot of time. So if everybody's willing to pay me to go through every boxed unit out there before it ships out, I suppose that would end up working. But this just happens. When you get cheap stuff from China, it's like a crapshoot. You know, one of every 100 or 20 or 10 end up being bad, which is what happened in this case. So send him his money back. Now let's take a look at the electronic speed controller. Okay, so I got a little motor, and the reason I'm using this little guy here is because I want to put him in my flying sub. So I want to test this anyway. We'll see if these speed controllers like this. So this is on a 12-volt battery, which is equivalent to like a 3S. Do. Looks good to me. Now, I'm super curious. I'm going to grab a little 2S battery and see if it still works. Okay, so this is hooked up to a 2S battery pack right now. So this is getting about 7.4 volts. You see the light is on the speed controller, and well, it's rubbing on the little plier holder that I have there. But anyhow, it is working. And I think it has to do maybe with the current draw. I just know that, yeah, it doesn't like that I've got that jammed in there. But this is going to work for my little batteries. There's nothing wrong with this electronic speed controller. It is fine. It's doing what it needs to do. So customer will get a full refund on the electronic switch, and he will get credit back on the electronic speed controller, less 15% restocking fee, and that is what we had to do. The crappy thing is I had to spend 15 minutes testing all of that, so that comes straight out of my pocket, and that's just the way things work. All right, it is do or die time. We're gonna check out these torpedoes and see how they behave now that they have an actual torpedo tube to guide them when they exit. Now, one of the things that's going to be really interesting, there's a really strong burst of air that's going to be propelling them out. So when they leave the tube, they're actually going to be in an air envelope or an air bubble. I don't know what that's going to do in terms of maybe knocking it off course. We're just going to have to see what ends up happening. I'm interested to see how it performs. So let's get it all rigged up. All right, ready? Yep. Fire 1. Fire 2. Interesting. Those are definitely energetic launches. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Wow. Well, the first one went really good. Still going. All right, while Logan gets flying sub rigged up for testing, just a few thoughts on the launcher. I think I need to go with smaller diameter fill tube. There's too much impetus air being directed at the weapon, and I think that's causing misdirection. Now, we did get, I think, 2 out of the 4 launches that worked pretty good, and one of them went really, really good. So I think by going with that smaller hose, less impetus air, and a higher likelihood of a straight and true shot with the torpedoes. I'm very happy with these. I think just a small tweak to the torpedo launching fill tube, and we got this thing nailed down. So I feel pretty confident right now that I could probably put a package together and start offering these. Now, this is not going to be a bulletproof, 100% satisfaction guaranteed product. This is going to be an experimenter's package for sure for those of you that want to mess around with it. Send a lot of spare parts with it and everything. Option for extra torpedoes and all of that stuff. So we'll put this together. We'll see how many people get excited about putting torpedoes in their boats. Well, it's looking good so far. Oh. Well, that is really, really glitchy.
I mean, the pool did just get shocked. That's not good. That's not coming back up.
It is super slowly.
It's also leaking a lot of air.
That's a lot of air. Where is all that air coming from? So as you can see, things did not go exceptionally well with the sub. If you take a look inside here, you can see it's about a third of the way full of water, which is massive leak. Looking at it from the side, I'm going to hazard a guess. This is not coming from the gaskets. This is not coming from the bolts. This is coming from the seams for the watertight box that was constructed. We ran into problems with that before. We thought we addressed it. Obviously, that's not the case. Maybe from the force of installation and removal, it put stresses on and re-cracked it. I don't know what glue they used to put it together. This is just a debacle. So we're going to, I think we just decided, scrap the whole thing and put a new box together. We could get it working, probably, but to get it working reliably and long-term, probably not going to happen. So we're going to have to gut it, pull all the components that are useful, and put it in. I think the good news about this, though, is we can optimize it for this design, obviously do away with the ballast system, and it'll be something that's just a little bit more bespoke and suited to powering this particular boat. So kind of back to the drawing board. Empty shell, old box, just a little bit of water in there. Servos are completely flooded, assuming they're ruined. I don't know that these are waterproof electronic speed controllers, but I'm going to assume they're shot as well. Yeah, so not super awesome. This switch, by the way, never ended up doing anything. It's connected to this ESC, but well, whatever. We're moving in another direction. New waterproof box rated to 15 feet of watertight integrity, so it should be good. I've got a waterproof connector on there, which is 6-pin, which means two motor wires, 2 lighting wires, and then 3 servo outputs, and that's it. It means completely rebuilding the entire drive system of the boat, which is super sucky. I got some servo mounts printing on the printer right now. They're going to be a triple servo deal going on. Guess we'll hit this hard tomorrow and see what we can make happen to get this thing wet as soon as possible. This was like the last thing we needed to have happen over here. We've got boats, builds piled up to the ceiling, waiting in the wings, and problematic builds are stalling the progress. It's sucky, but it's still fun. It is Friday. In the shop, I am working on the cosmetics of Seaview. Make sure you subscribe to my channel on YouTube. You'll catch Chapter 6 of the Seaview build, where we go into all the details on this thing.
Just got the maps and the small compass in the back of the wheelhouse. Getting a few of the lights reattached since I used a little bit too much glue and they got a little stuck. You can see I have one sticking out here. But I'm going to hold off on that because once we get the wheelhouse domes in, then the wheelhouse will pretty well be done. You can go ahead and start sealing everything and see how it looks.
Yeah, I guess we could, once we get the windows in, we can mask them and the floodlights. And then pop it on the boat and prime the whole thing. We're really close. And then what's going on with the flying sub?
We're just going to go ahead and use a fresh box. So we grabbed, we called them an SJ.
Normally I'd use an S3. This is different, and I don't remember the name of the company that I got this from. I've had this for forever. This is an UK Ultrabox 406 for anybody looking for it. And apparently they're rated to 15 feet of depth, which is more than sufficient for what we're doing here. We got our waterproof connector in there. That's the other side. It goes on like that. And Logan's got the batteries. I guess they just friction fit, right?
Pretty well.
Servos just kind of drop into this little servo holder that we've got. So we got to make 3 servo outputs and then a little shelf for the receiver and the speed controller. And that's it. A little bit more progress on the big torpedoes for Seahund. If we take a look at that, I've got the waterproof servo all rigged up to the linkage for the rudders for the boat. So if we take a look at this in action, it looks something like this. So now the only thing that I need to do is run servo connection and these. Unfortunately, we've got 3 wires already, which means I can make that servo connection through this waterproof connector and 1 connection, and it'll be all done. So I'm just going to be working on the bulkhead for the torpedo body now. So wrapping up for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed this week, but before I let you go, let's take a look at where we left off with the 2 big, well, I guess 3 big projects. So we decided to paint Seaview in a camouflage pattern. Really thought the gray was kind of stupid, so we're going camo green with some black splotches. I hope you guys really like that.
I'm going to mount some MGs to the front of it as well.
Yeah, maybe a tank turret on the top. We're not doing that. Of course we're not doing that. So this is primer. This is self-etching primer. I went with self-etching number 1 because I had lots of it to blow through. And number 2 because I had a lot of brass parts exposed here, and that self-etching primer actually etches into the soft metal, the brass parts, so that they don't chip as easily. So Seaview is basically primed. There's a few areas that priming obviously brings out. That's the purpose behind priming something. Paint adherence, and then also to identify any blemishes. So I got a little tiny one like right here, just a few little minor ones. And then we're going to be going to paint. it will be gray and with the white bottom, as per the TV series. Logan managed to get Nautilus all done. Well, not done. Buttoned up. And again, primer just to catch any imperfections. There's a few maybe little tiny spots.
Must be like the seams over here, things like that.
Yeah, we'll hit those again. But man, what beautiful details on this boat. You know, all those rivets. We just applied all the ladder rungs. Like even the ladder rungs have the the flanges to mount them. It's pretty awesome. So we're gonna let this dry up over the course of the weekend, and then base it out in brown, and then we'll do a wash, and then some weathering with some pastels and oils and all sorts of cool stuff. I guess we also got to rig up the lighting output to control the lighting.
Yeah, the only problems we've run into with this boat have just been self-made. The kit itself has been absolutely beautiful so far. Yeah. The more we do, the better we get at it. That's the way it works. And definitely lesson learned for next time. There's a very slight lip on the inside. I didn't see it the first time, so when I was putting this top on, I had to go through a bit of an odyssey of like, oh wait, the way I rigged the lighting doesn't work very well. So yeah. So did we fuse? Oh no! Look at that. It's a little bit more stiff, but it works pretty good. That is awesome. Those work. Oh man, so cool. I love this boat. I really want one for us, for me. We're going to get a lot of kits. So yeah. If we ever screw up a kit too bad to not sell it, we'll just keep it for ourselves. And there you go. All right. And then last but not least, where we finished off in terms of the torpedoes. So I showed you I got the servo mounted on the back of Torpedo 1. And a few minutes ago, the prop for Torpedo 2 showed up. The other black prop. Over here? Yep. Hang on. It's behind painted stuff. Make sure I don't smear paint on things. So this is the prop for number 2. Exact same prop. Just got to carefully trim the vortex attenuators this way and hopefully not poke a hole in Logan's drink when we're doing it. And then where the heck did I put the lids? Oh, here. So this is the seal that's going to section off the torpedo bodies. Now you can see I put a big rubber gasket on the inside. So this is going to be a little bit different than I originally envisioned. I think this is going to work a little better. There's also that other gasket, but this is on the bottom. Torque it down and it seals. So here is the connection. It'll be the electronic speed controller and then the servo on the one side. Coming along really good. Next week would be pretty cool to get this thing in the water and start trimming it out. What was your favorite prize? It's too bad about the flying sub. Yeah, it was fun to work on, but every time I had to take the top off and put it back on, I'd hear a fresh wave of like crackles or pops, and it would make me really like anxious. It felt like working on like a glass sculpture where it's like any change you make may or may not ruin everything. Yeah. We made the right call. I think that box will come together really quickly. We're basically at the same progress we were when we first got the flying sub in terms of making an entire new box for it. It'll take a day to put the box together. A day to like finish everything else. So it'll be in the water next week, I think. But actually, we got a short week next week because we are traveling. We are visiting Renee's brother in California, in Palm Springs. So I think Wednesday is our last day. We got a short week next week. We're gonna have to work our butts off. So yeah, that's what we got going on. Hope you enjoyed this update this week. If you do, like and subscribe, helps us out a lot. Drop your comments below or shoot me an email, bob@nautilusdrydocks.com. Anything to say before we go? Don't make the mistake that I made with Nautilus. Cost me about an hour of fixing. Take 2 minutes, and if you ever have 2 parts that can join together, between every step you take, check to make sure you don't screw something up. Yeah, take a step, double check. Take a step, double check. Don't forge ahead. Rushing never ends up well.
Okay, with that, we'll let you go. Thanks for joining us. Catch you next time.